Thank you, Mayor. It's always good to be here with everyone tonight. Just as a starting point, I hope that everyone received an invitation to the rededication of Leeds Elementary on Friday. And I know schedules sometimes get convoluted, but we certainly would like for you to come. We're going to cut our ribbon and recognize all the entities in town that helped and that are served by our school. We're really proud of our renovation completion. That goes to the media too, that everyone get, everybody, the public is certainly invited. I wanted to come to you tonight to talk about, yes ma'am, 9 a.m. Out front. Yep, at the 5. I wanted to come to you tonight to talk to you a little bit about the financial condition of the school district. And I always manage to talk about this when I visit because there were some reports out a few weeks ago that a lot of public school districts were in trouble, and ours included. And I can't say that these are the rosiest times for public school districts, but that we are not in bad shape. And to talk to you a little bit about the report that was released, and there was an article Sunday before last in the Birmingham News. I did receive an email from Kevin saying that some of the members of council had received calls or emails about the school district. And so I thought this would be a great time for me to share with you where that information came from. So right now, the legislature is in session discussing the next fiscal year's budget. So but before we get there, which is what this memo is about, the current fiscal year, we prepared for 5% proration in our within our current year's budget. We were handed 3% proration. We prepared also for flat local revenue, and year to date we are up 5% in local revenue. We also had some resignations of folks at Christmas that we did not replace. We have not hired a person to replace them. So this fiscal year, we are going to end the fiscal year in the black unless there is additional proration called. And I don't think that's going to be the case. The revenue looks really good. What the report and what the article in the Birmingham News was discussing was about the next year's budget. And I want to talk to you just briefly about that. The governor has proposed an education budget that keeps every teacher unit in place in the state as it's funded currently, as well as the number of contract days. And there are 3 primary sources of funds that come to the state of Alabama, the public schools. The first is through the foundation program, money for teacher units, transportation to run buses and replace buses, and finally a bucket of money called other current expenses that we pay support personnel, insurance, maintenance, and things of that nature from. The governor's proposal has kept all the teacher units in place and severely gutted money from transportation and from other current expenses. At that time, when that proposal rolled out, Dr. Morton, our state superintendent, did an analysis of what that would do to every school district in the state. And if you will look, and I want you all to read this and call me or send me an email if you have questions. It's a lot to digest at one time. But I wanted to focus on just the synopsis of what that would do and why I don't think that's going to happen. On page 6, I've highlighted for you Leeds City, where we are, or where we ended the last fiscal year, additional proration, and then the shortfalls and other current expenses and transportation. What was said was, if this budget passed as it were, and if the local school districts did not react, that this school district, like many, many others, and that even included Shelby County, which is one of the largest in the state, would end the year in a fiscal deficit. And that's simply not going to happen. To begin with, I don't think the budget as it was proposed is going to pass. And second of all, just to be quite honest, we have enough sense to know we've got to listen. We've got to listen, folks. Okay? We just simply do. In order to right-size the staffing with the revenues. I do want you to know, and I told it, we had a really good board meeting. It was a sober board meeting about 2 weeks ago, and I'm telling it to everyone in town. We will have layoffs. There is no doubt about it. And these are teachers. They are support workers, and they are, they're people who probably a lot of them live in our community. But we simply will have no choice, and we are not the only folks there. When you look at this report, 132 school districts in Alabama, and virtually every one of them, 89 of 132, would be in dangerously close to zero funds or negative funds if they didn't reduce staff. That is going to happen. It's going to happen. There's a lot of information in this report, and I would like to urge you to read it and contact me if you have questions. And I know that you will. Some of the verbiage is it's educational jargon, but it's when you really stop to explain, it really makes sense.
I think what got everybody upset on that was calling is maybe it didn't read like that, but did it not say that they would be insolvent? Instead of saying deficit, they said Tarrant, Birmingham, Shelby County School System, and Leeds would be insolvent.
That's correct.
And that was a bad use of words.
That was. It was pejorative.
Some people called up and said, is the school system insolvent? And there was one Barn and Kevin with that. And I said, no, it's not insolvent. But they're operating at deficit budget.
That's right. That's right. You know, our fiscal reserve in at the end of February was $900,000. So, you know, the reserve is there. But this is the time of year for the reserve begins to be spent down because we had ad valorem coming after Christmas, and we're beginning to spend down. But we put the necessary things in place this fiscal year to end with a positive fund balance. So there's going to be a lot of going back and forth in the legislature. You're going to hear lots of stories, and there are going to be other reports and other memos. But I did want to come and put that fire out once again, and let everyone know that we know. We've got the right size of personnel. We just had for information, we have 174 employees and 19 are funded from federal stimulus funds that are going away completely. And so we may have some new local revenue at the end of the year, and we're going to work, actually going to work with Kevin when he gets back to look at ad valorem projections for Grand River, and then we're going to budget very low and see how many of those positions we can keep. But some are going to have to be eliminated.
Are most of them in the classroom?
It's about half and half. About half and half.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Are any of them going to be at the administrative level and not just here?
Meeting specialists and stuff.
Maybe. See, it's hard to project though because so many of our units come prescripted the way they have to. You know, teachers, counselors, principals, and some of them are earned, and you don't have the option of moving around. And when the legislature gives us the budget, then we'll go with it. But you know what, guys? We're going to have school, and I think you'll see on that report there are a lot of people whose budgets are, you know, they're tight right now. A lot of well-heeled school districts whose budgets are tight, and we're going to do what's right to keep the district solvent and keep the financial integrity in place and have school. It's going to be
How you would.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
We got 7 or 8 months still.
Sir?
We got, you know, we're not that long. We got 5, 6 months. You never know what happens.
That's right. Last year, I will tell you this, in August, we didn't think we'd have an education federal stimulus job bill just for education jobs, and it was passed almost in the blink of an eye, and, you know, we got $300,000 from that. So things can happen sometimes at the national level that affect us.
We appreciate it, Superintendent.
Thank y'all.
Anybody have any questions? Any other questions? Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
And,
Thank you for letting me go first.
yeah, sure. Have fun.
Now I'm going to tennis.
All right. Very next thing is old business, resolution 2011-0306, laying for traffic study for the Armory site as possible fire station site. We do know that it came back, there's no underground tanks. Unofficially, officially it came back. There's no underground tanks at the Armory site. So that's a good, about a $50,000 or $60,000 use. You know, what that was estimated tonight. Mr. Skipper Consulting agreed to reduce his fee. Almost $650, something like that. And $600. And also agreed to take out some contract issues. It's still a little bit higher than what the original, what we had originally budgeted. However, it seems to be, well, you know, a pretty good job to do this particular traffic count. And so y'all look at it and just, you know, we need to try to work on getting a fire station. There's no doubt about that. So
It's more, I don't know, the people would think it's just a traffic count for that amount. It's not.
No, it's a lot.
It's a whole lot of
Traffic
other
count,
stuff.
traffic impact, the recommendations for what needs to be done for safety. It could involve, recommendations of moving the road. If you've got cross streets that don't match up, you've got two businesses that go out there, you've got a major state highway. So it's not just counting cars up the road. There's a little bit more to it than that. It's gotta count cars coming out of this park. So, I think he should cut it down as much as he can. And, so, we can accept it or we can keep shopping around. But I think it's probably a pretty good deal. Just more than we anticipated. Okay, so do I hear a motion on that, one way or the other?
I'm gonna make a motion that we execute the professional services with Skipper Consulting, resolution 2011-0306 for traffic, engineering and planning services.
Okay, Mr. Washington, second. Okay, any discussion from the council? All right, all those in favor of executing 2011-0306 professional service agreement with Skipper Consulting for a traffic count, impact, access needs study, say aye. All opposed, say no. Okay. Let's see. Administration, I can't think of anything I really got, except maybe we're still in the process. Lieutenant Collier's our acting police chief. We feel very confident in his ability. He's been around a long time. He knows the job. And, and we're gonna what we wanna do is have a long, careful process of who we pick. Police chief is important to the city. And, we think it's in good hands until that's, done. And, we want to thank Lieutenant Collier for doing that. And thank you for being here tonight. All right, and I appreciate it. That's all I've got to say on that. We've already done city schools, fire department, Chief Pierce. Inspection, Inspector Hinkle.
February the 23rd, we had a public hearing on condemnation of houses. And the council give, I believe, 8 people extra time. I've only had one come in the last 30 days. That's, to be expected about what you're gonna do about that in the next 30 days.
When do we give
You give them 30 days. You give them,
the update tonight, right? And only the ones came forward, and you send any activity on into others?
like, for a permit on the one. Nobody's come to me with any plan on the other. Just an update.
Alright, well, we gave them 60 days total, but 30 days to come forward with substantial compliance or with a plan of something they can do that if it took longer, right? So we need to go ahead and, put that on the agenda to vote next time, or what? If they haven't done any substantial compliance?
You can either do it next time or wait.
Wait the full 60 days.
Well, we're gonna have to notice them that it's coming back up again.
Let's just notice them for the full 60 days. Alright. Library, Director Williams.
We had our official, we've been asking for money for quite a while, we had our official fundraising kicked off for the new library last week in the form of a chamber after hours. We had it at the library, which was just donated for our use by Kelly Love. And it's really a nice building. We had a really nice time. About half of you were there.
It was spring break, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just saying about half the season. Kyle was there, Miss Ernest, Miss Cardwell, and Becky, who is not sitting there, but she was there. And it was a nice event. We had our pledge cards out and our pictures and our model and everything for everybody to see. And we did get our pledge pledge cards back from Miss Charlotte Ernest and Miss Susan Carswell, and a few other people that's not in here, but we know we'll be seeing the rest of them in our box pretty soon. Those who received them in their boxes, you know who you are. We'll expect to see your pledge cards, and then I gave one. I feel like I'm paying myself to work, but it was a nice program, and I put this in our library column, but I also meant to thank Miss Carrie Lee for letting us use her building back in November when we did our bazaar. She let us have that building for a couple of weeks. As a matter of fact, we just gave her back the key last week from November, and that helped us out a lot. Up to this point, counting the $50,000 grant we got originally to get the plans made and the model and all, we have raised about another $50,000. But that is not much when you're talking $2.4 million. It's really not much. So we need $2.3 million more to be able to at least break ground in December. You don't have to give it to us all up front. We got pledge cards at the library. Come by and get some. We'll take it over 5 years. We'll take it up front any way you want to do it, and we will be writing more grants. The building we're in is too small, and it is rented. It does not belong to the city, nor does the property where we're moving belongs to the city, and they've given it over for the library use. It's across the street from the telephone company, that whole block. If you want to see what it's going to look like, come in the library and look at the model. It's a very nice model, and it will give us a lot more room. It will be a green building. It will just be something you can be proud of and say, look at our library. Come to the library, and we'll still do the fabulous job that we do there to keep everything running even when it rains on us inside.
It does.
But, you know, the landlord tries to keep it up, but it's just an old building. It's an old building that can't help itself, like most of the buildings downtown. So I know we talk about the money all the time, but there's only 9 of us, that's including full-time and part-time. We can't raise $2.5 million by ourselves. We really need some help. We can't give it because we don't have it, so we are expecting help from everybody. And from this point, we're going forward toward summer reading coming up soon, so you'll start hearing me talking about that, along with talking about money, also talking about money until we get it done. So if you know somebody with deep pockets, you know where to send them. And
We give them a nice tax write-off.
oh yeah, with the money is in the name of the Library Foundation, and it is a straight tax write-off. It's a 501c3 organization, and if we ever get it done, I'm sure everybody will be just as proud as they can be and be happy that we did it, and it'll be a great building. So we're looking to see people to come through the library to get books, tapes, and everything, but also pick up some pledge cards too. So just letting you know that we're not through talking about it yet.
Thank you, Director Williams. All right, Park and Rec, Supervisor Keating.
Memorial field, ball fields are supposed to be complete in a few weeks. Supposed to be grass and fence coming in within this week or next week.
Power put down tomorrow, that gets the irrigation on. And they put the fence up, like a few days, and then they're gonna sod it. So depending on when we can get on the sod, or kids can get on the sod, that'll be whether it gets done by the first or not. Is that correct? All right, I appreciate it.
start the installations of that tomorrow. We're excited about that.
Good deal. Appreciate it, Chief. Streets and sanitation, Supervisor Keating.
12 manhole cover's been replaced today and welded to the, welded shut, so hopefully they will not be stolen. Having problem,
They got our names on them?
they are supposed to have our names on them.
Okay.
Big problem right now is Leeds, under ordinance, supposed to be bagged. If they're bagged, we'll pick them up every day. We're having a lot of problems with limbs that are on these power lines. These trucks are tall and can't bring out the boom with, in a lot of houses. Also, the limbs are mixed with trash. Trash goes to one dump, limbs goes to a different dump, and they're all mixed together. We need, the residents to, separate them.
Right, and another thing I've seen is, TV, tires, batteries. We know we cannot pick those up. And paint. We cannot pick old TVs up. That's against any kind of permit we have. We can't pick up batteries, we can't pick up tires, we can't pick up paint. If anybody puts that out, it won't be picked up. There's nothing we can do about that. We don't have a permit for that. Take a special permit. And I've seen people laying those things out a pretty good bit lately. And, especially TVs, I don't get that. But anyway, I know we can't pick those up. I appreciate it. Council Committee Finance Chairperson, Ms. Ernest.
I don't have a report on our audit. We stopped it, when we were having some issues with, Regions bonds, and, it is still at that point at a standstill until some of those things are resolved.
Fire, I don't have a report. Library and Education, Councilman Carswell.
I'd just like to thank Ms. Williams for all her hard work and the staff. It was a very nice event at the library, and we desperately need the new library, and it would take, pennies, dimes, change, whatever it takes to get this thing built. We have wonderful new schools, and elementary school that's not brand new, but it's like brand new. It's been totally redone and addition done, and we need that public library to complement those new schools. And she's right, the building owner does the best he can, but the computers, when it rains, the 5 computers that we offer the public, we have to take plastic tablecloths and cover them when it rains to keep them from shorting out. So she's not joking about it raining inside. It literally pours sometimes. So the workroom has leakages. It is, go by there sometime and really look around. And that library is used by a large portion of the community, from tiny tots all the way up to our oldest citizens. And I think our citizens deserve a new library, especially our children. So spread the word, get people out there, come get your pledge card, keep your change bucket at home. Whatever it takes to get this thing built, we need to do it.
Thank you. Park and Rec, Councilman Bartu.
Real quickly, soccer, baseball, softball, and tennis are in full force. I think enrollment was pretty good on most of those, and up on most of them. We are excited about the new fields. George has done a wonderful job overseeing that, and we really appreciate that. And we are on new tennis courts too, so we have a lot to be proud of right now. Thank you.
Police, I just want to reiterate that, even with the acting chief, we're in very capable hands. We have excellent sergeants who run our shifts, and we're going to take our time looking for a chief. We're going to try to get the chief that fits in with the city of Leeds, and probably try to form a committee to pick, because as you know, we got to come off the personnel board. that's a long, slow process. I mean, they send you 15, 16 names, and you've got to go through every one of them. And if that doesn't work out, you gotta get more in that right, Lieutenant Todd. And, you know, you've got to give everybody a chance, and we'll just see how that goes. But I mean, we're definitely not imperiled in any way by not having our chief in place, and all in very capable hands. Streets and inspection, Councilman Washington. No report. Okay. New business. Ordinance 2011-0301 relating to the amending the zoning ordinance. If we vote on this, we have to go out of session. Do I hear a motion to go out of session? To consider.
Suspend the rules.
Right.
So moved.
I hear a second.
Second.
Starting on the right, Mr. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Barty.
Yes.
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 All right. Do I hear a motion to accept the changes as presented?
I would like to make that motion with a typo correction, or at least on, this is what I was looking for earlier, section 9, on the first floor of a two-story dwelling, which is a R1 dwelling, that should read 1,200 square feet on at a minimum on the first floor. And section 10,
R2.
which is R2, should be 1,000. They were just flipped.
That flip, because the smaller house and the smaller first floor. Maybe it's a typo. You got that, Ms. Herman?
Got it.
They were just
Mr. Washington, can you
reversed.
say what the deal was? Okay. It's just a typo.
So I make the motion to accept with those changes or corrections. Not really a change.
Okay. Any discussion?
They just say
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Barty. Discussion.
No, like I stated before, I still don't like this here because we don't really accommodate, and I can only speak for my district.
Yes.
It's just not, it's not a good fit in my district, and I just cannot vote for this here yet until we get it changed. And I don't think we really should do it. We still haven't met the request of Daniel Corporation as well as changing the height of the building. And if we're gonna do this here, I think that we need to really consider all these things before we vote on, for the yes vote. And maybe I wouldn't have such a problem with some of this here if I thought that we could send it to our Board of Adjustment and Appeal, and let the appeal board do what they supposed to do, consider different areas. But I just don't have that trust in that board doing it when we can make those changes now. And I know this goes across the board for the whole city of it, but it's not. I just can't see it working in District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. All right, anybody else? All right, start from the right, Mr. Washington.
No?
Mr. Barty.
Yes.
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 All right. All right, a resolution to exempt certain covered items from municipal sales tax in the first full weekend of August 2010 as authorized by Act 2006.
I make the motion to return to regular session.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed. All right, a resolution to exempt certain covered items from municipal sales tax in the first full weekend of August 2010 as authorized by Act 2006-574 commonly referred to as the state sales tax holiday legislation. It's been resolution 2011-0308 to exempt people from city sales tax for the sales tax holiday weekend. We have to go ahead and vote on that and get that into the state now. So, do I hear a motion concerning that?
I'm making,
Mr. Barkley,
and I'll second.
Ms. Scarlett. All right, any discussion? All right,
Just that it goes from midnight on Friday, August 5th, to midnight on Sunday, August 7th.
okay. First Friday, month, August, and the first Friday. Okay, and that would exempt people from the 4-cent sales tax. Unfortunately, in Leeds, I think the county wouldn't take theirs off with it. I think they probably have the state does, but the county doesn't, so people probably, just Jefferson County, take theirs off usually. So, you might have to pay 2 cents, but at least we're taking ours off. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Resolution 2011-0309 relating to awarding condemnation structure demolition bid. I guess since Frank's not here, I'll have to explain it, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, we took, and also, y'all can't, I'm not an engineer or bid person, so can't help me to exactly what I say. Apparently, we took a bid on this condemnation, 8 houses. One bid came in at $19,700. That's the low bid. The middle bid came in at $35,600. And the last bid came in at $46,750. Mr. Spencer, looked at the bid tab. I think he probably asked the people some questions, looked at what they submitted, and he had some issues with the low bid. Here's what he said. Bids were received on the above reference project by the City of Leeds on March 18, 2011 at 10 a.m. HGE Construction submitted a low bid in the amount of $19,700. They did not account for the dumping of the materials at a permitted landfill in their bid. I recommend that they be released from the bid and the return of their bid bond. I recommend that the city award the contract to the middle bidder in the amount of $35,600. It's Veterans Landscaping. Since they submitted the lowest and best bid for the project, they have confirmed that their material will be hauled to permitted landfill. If you have any questions, please call. Sincerely, Frank Spencer. The only problem that has been communicated to me is that is a jump of $16,000 for dumping of this material. I don't know what dumping cost is, so I don't know if that's a big jump or if that's about right. But apparently, the $19,700 bid without an appropriate place to dump is a problem for us. So I don't know if y'all, I mean, he's not here. I don't know if we can send it back for a rebid, or if we can, or if we can turn it down or not.
We can,
Or you could wait and let Frank explain it to you.
Well, I think that is the explanation. They'd have places to dump.
I know it, but I'm not sure it accounts for the travel costs, the gas, I mean, everything to haul it, other than just paying the permit.
So apparently we can accept it. We can table it for 2 weeks and let Frank explain it to us. Or we can deny it and send it back for a rebid.
Well, you've got,
That's what I was like, could we not confirm that the low bidder actually doesn't have a place to?
I think he did
he said
confirm
he
that.
confirmed
He
it.
definitely confirmed that.
He
No,
doesn't.
you have to have, it's not a permitted place. It has to meet a certain requirement to dump it. Because maybe of the material in the building or something like that. So I mean, I don't know if that's a big jump, but that's about right. So, I mean, but we got those 3 options.
you've got a $15,900 difference in the first and second bid, but you've got a $27,000 difference in the first and the third bid. So, why don't we table it for further explanation? I mean,
Because actually the bid price could go up.
Or it could go down.
Oh, yeah, they could go up.
Well, not
But this-
down.
this-
It won't be lower than the 19.7, but it could be lower than the 35.6.
So you wanna table it 2 weeks, let Frank explain it, see if we will vote on it or not?
I would make that motion that we table, resolution 2011-0309 for a better explanation into the cost of dumping.
What's your opinion, Mr. Hank?
Usually about $20 a ton to dump required landfill.
So, I mean, you think that's
That's about the difference.
that is about the difference? That's
Oh,
what
well,
Frank recommended that we accept the bid. That's what he said. He said, I think you should accept that bid. He said, I think that's.
They're probably planning on dumping it somewhere where it's not legal to dump.
Maybe, we can't say that.
They didn't put it in the price.
You're talking about the first bidder.
Yeah,
Right.
unpermitted.
I'm sure Frank specified that it had to be in the.
Right,
Yeah.
and he said there's a problem. So, in your opinion, do you think the bid would change much?
Probably not.
You don't? You want to amend it, let's just vote.
I think it's self-explanatory here,
I withdraw my motion.
but at the same time, I think sometimes you get higher bids and sometimes you might be able to get a lower bid if you send it back to
I
bid.
don't think so.
We don't know. I mean,
We don't know.
it's a pretty good bit of material.
It's not
We've got to haul off some trailers and stuff. That's always. Will somebody just make some kind of motion? You want to remake a motion?
I make a motion that we, award to the, second lowest bidder, which is Veterans Landscaping Company, which is a qualified bidder, which means they did meet the bid specifications. The award of demolition of unsafe structures. Resolution 2011-0309.
Second.
Second.
Discussion.
Well, I was just looking at the unit price of each one of these homes and it was it goes from like, 21, say, number 1 out of 1, from 2,100 up in one area and move down one, it goes to 4,500.
That's
So
because of
it's double.
dumping.
Yeah. So it
$2,400
doubles,
to
so
dump it.
if it's $20 a yard, you say?
That's probably to dump it, then you gotta add their fuel and drive and all that
That's
stuff.
one thing you gotta worry about, fuel. I don't know if that's gonna be a problem or not. With
Well,
you wait.
with a permitted site, it could be more, because it's special, it's not just a.
If you let the bid, they can't come back in with a fuel surcharge.
No, that's true. That's what. Alright, any other discussion? Alright, all those in favor of awarding the bids to Veterans Landscaping, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Alright. Resolution 2011-0310, business license penalty waiver request.
Mayor, this is actually, in my studying of this, I asked a question. This is actually a refund request because the business is not located. There's an error there in the readings. It's a business license refund because the business is not located within the city limits of Leeds.
But it said we're refunding late penalty and interest.
Well, that's an error.
They paid their license late. They thought they were paying for a prior year,
Yeah.
and they discovered they paid for a current year, which they're not
got the business license, they can get their late fee.
No, we haven't refunded any money. That's what it was.
So how much is it?
They requested, have requested that what they paid be refunded.
It's just $69.
Total for the late?
It's a business
I
license.
know, but for the business license and the late fee in there, it's only $1,600.
It was a contractor.
So, subcontract.
They're-
All right, motion, do I hear a motion? Is it recommended that we give it back to them, from y'all auditors and attorneys? Okay.
Okay, I move that we pass resolution 2011-0310, with the change that it's just business license refund request. And then if you'll notice in there, it's also with penalties and fees included in their license fee.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor of 2011-0310, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Okay. Oh, we call Frank to be here. I don't know how to discuss this when I don't have one. Here it is. All right. We approved some paving, earlier, all over the city of Leeds. And some of the paving was in Kings Forest. Apparently, just like all over town, we have sewer settings. And, we're trying to get all these settled sewers fixed because they're causing severe hazards. It says Kings Forest on the paving list approved by the council to be paid from the address of 1054 to 1074. There's a area of Kings Forest Drive, 370 linear feet north of address 1074, with a sewer line that's settled 4 to 6 inches deep. I recommend extending this paving to include the repair of the settled area by leveling the settled area and paving an additional 370 linear feet of Kings Forest Drive. The paving approved by the council is as follows: $9,200. Recommended paving would be an additional, what's that, 13? Okay. The difference would be $14,909, which is recommended to be added to the project. Mr. Spencer thinks that the problem is, if we don't get it done while they're on site, then we'll have to go off-site and pay for transport back to that particular place. This kind of, the other option we had was to take and pay somebody to pave all these settled sewer lines at one time. He said that would be more expensive. And the other problem that we're running into is asphalt's going through the roof. So he said, if we're gonna go there and do it, we need to do everything as fast as we can. And, all of the city, because we're worried about the asphalt prices. So he's asked us, to consider extending the paving project. If you remember, he came in with two options on this one. We went with the smaller option, the worst area. He's saying this, drop in the road is gonna keep going. So whatever y'all wanna do.
Well, it's obviously a fairly large area, it's gonna raise 5 manhole covers.
Right. Right, 5 manhole covers and 120 tons of asphalt and leveling. And as you can see there, the prices of asphalt's already going up, $75 a ton. And, I think at one time it was 65 or 62 last year. Already going up. But that's just what he's asked us to consider. He thinks that it's gonna be a safety issue eventually because it's dropping, it's sinking out.
Does this need to be in the form of a resolution, or do we just make a motion to accept his recommendation?
Just make a motion to accept it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept our city engineer's recommendation and do the repair work while we have the equipment and the materials on site.
Discussion. All right. All those in favor of increasing the project size on this Kings Forest paving project, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. as a deadline.
Man, I make a motion that we table this for the next 2 weeks.
Do I have a second?
All the boards.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor of tabling it for 2 weeks, say aye.
Aye.
All right, to reiterate, we have 3 zoning board appointments, 2 ZBA appointments, a waterworks board appointment, 3 CDA appointments.
People.
And 2 people appointments. Some of those appointments will be to fill out unexpired terms. Some of those appointments will be full terms. Okay, and y'all have to look at what we did last time, and you have to look at the terms. But everybody's challenged, we're doing that in the next 2 weeks.
Mayor, that's on, it's listed on the website too, the positions that are available.
Positions available, how about the term has unexpired and expired? That would just be something the council needs to look at. Right, okay.
And I would ask that, you put, applications in our box on all of them.
That's fine. Put, what, 4 or 5?
No, he means as they're filled
Yeah,
out.
the one that's the
Copies.
one that's on file.
Oh, just make copies. Okay.
Is there gonna be a timeline that we stop going back? I mean, we've got some that go back to like '09.
Yeah, I think we need to vote on that too, because we got people, unfortunately, that maybe have passed on, or maybe have, you know, are now on other boards or moved. And some of them go back 2 years, so we wanna say nobody that hadn't applied within the last 24 months, or what do y'all wanna do?
I'd say 12.
I'd say
18
12
months.
months. Well, I'd say January 1, 2010. How about?
No, it's whatever y'all decide.
I would like to make a motion that we don't accept any, we don't accept applications for boards that were presented to us prior to January 2010. And if you have one there, please go and update it.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, discussion.
We'd appreciate the press helping us publicize our
That
meeting
that
for
would be
applicants.
14 months.
The only problem I have with that is, I understand those who ask, well, can't.
What, I think we removed those,
We
but I'm just
removed
saying,
those,
I
but
think we removed those.
There's a lot of people that have been waiting that put applications in. And I think we're gonna deny some of those people that opportunity if we talk about in the next 2 weeks voting on this. And, you know, I think what we need to do is go along with what we have now until these 2 weeks are again start a new process. That'll be the best thing to do.
Well, that goes back 15, almost 15 months. I don't think we have very many before that, just a couple.
We could call it out.
We could call it and ask them if they want to be updated if we gave you a number. You want to just do it that way?
That's fine. But I think.
Yeah, because see, some of them say like November 2008.
Yeah.
If they have an old application, we can ask them to fill out a new one.
Or give us confirmation of update.
I understand that we're moving away from what we already have in place, changing everything. And it would be fine with me, but we're just going to deny those other people out there, whether they want to be part of it now or not, that opportunity. They can come to us later on and say, well, hey, my application is in,
Right.
even though we didn't select it.
But the bad thing about that is let's say we pick one of those people.
Yep.
And they came back and said, I'm really not interested. That's 2 years ago. That wouldn't look too good.
And I think we need to keep up with our state from year to year.
We'll see if we can try to update them. If we'll make every attempt. We have a motion in a second right now, though, that you're only confirmed from January forward, and you want to amend it to say
January 2010.
10, that, and David will attempt to try to call the people that are on there that before. And note that he contacted them or left a message. He'll do it like that.
That's fine.
All right, we'll try that. All right.
I did.
All those in favor, say aye. Okay. Now, Mr. Washington's got
Yes, ma'am, I know last year that we did not, open the swimming pool. And I think it was a miss for a lot of the children in the community. And I want to find out where we are this year. And are we gonna open it? My wish is that we open it this year. And the wish of the people that it be open.
Okay.
A long, hot summer.
Well, we've had it assessed, last year, and, 54 years old. And, it's got some major problems with it. It almost have to be totally rebuilt for it to be open. Mr. Radford worked for a long time to try to help keep it going. I think his assessment of it is, and we've had some other people look at it, is that it just can't really be fixed up. It's got major cracks in it. It's outdated. It's almost, safety-wise, it's kind of dangerous because it's so shallow stuff. We can't really afford unemployment, workman's comp, liability. Has to be rebuilt, probably can't be patched. That's why we're looking into the splash park, see what we can do for something different. Needs $5,000 to $10,000 in drain improvements. Lost them $600 to $900 a day. Let's see. Only a few small cities have them, and most of them are very expensive or limited to just their people in their city. So they're, I think Birmingham's down to 8. They used to have 18. They went to 0 last year when they were having money trouble. That's one of the first things they closed. And, everybody's gotten in the same boat. Everybody around us is out of the pool business. Except, Trussell's got a pool. They limit to their own residents. It's $150 a family. And, Pell City shut down, closed it. Oval, Moody doesn't have a pool. Irondale closed its down. There's nobody really that's in the pool business. Small city can't hardly do it. To afford to fix it up, the liability of it, we averaged 30-something people a day, lost $600 to $900. It only had 90 days of service life. By the time we got it open, it only had 60-something days of service life. We lost that kind of money. And, it just doesn't have a good return. And I understand, we want stuff for the kids, but it's just not really feasible. It's so old, it's just to rebuild it. A splash park costs a lot, and we looked into it, but you don't have to pay a bunch of people to run it. Have one person oversee it.
Well, I understand that, but then at the same time, you made the point about some of the municipalities closing their swimming pool, and you said Birmingham went down to 0. I know they did because last year I took a bunch of kids to a couple of the swimming pools that were in Birmingham to swim, and I don't think you would narrow that down to 0. I don't know where you got your numbers from.
I believe what I said was, I believe Birmingham's down to 8 pools from 18, and when they were having money trouble, they closed when they went down to 0. Now they're back to 8, but that's not what it's called. That's the first thing they cut out.
Yeah.
But they're down to 8, I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm just not gonna worry about them, but I talked to Mr. Rafford as well, and we was talking about what was needed to be done in the swimming pool. We just didn't open that pool last year, and I know it's an old pool, but at the same time, I think if we would've did a repair on it like it should have been done last year, we would've been able to open it. I don't think no department that we have in the city is gonna make money for us, but our children is very important. When we look at the number of kids that we have in the community that are not playing organized sports or anything, and those numbers go way beyond those children that's out there playing organized sports. And this is an opportunity for us in the summertime. All kids love swimming, and I think we need to find a way to get those tools it kind of bothers me with all these people. And we need to find a way. That's the reason I didn't vote for some of this stuff that was on here tonight, like the demolition, because I think that we sometimes need to go back, revisit these areas to find out what we can save money, and we can kind of allow ourselves to open some of these things for our church. I mean, I think the $35,000 is too much, yes, but then we do what we want to do, but then our children get left out. And they going into other communities now swimming and everything, and I just want to see Leeds have their home.
Sure.
Okay, I think if you look back at, not last summer, but the summer before last, we averaged around 25 to 30 children a day at the pool. Out of the whole community, we had 25 to 30 a day. And, part of the problem in the number is the fact that, and Mr. Kyle was here, he would tell you this story himself. He's told it numerous times. His niece was one of the lifeguards. The calls were covered under the personnel board. His 16-year-old niece made $800 in 2 weeks working as a part-time lifeguard at the city pool. That's why it costs so much. The fact that it's old is part of the problem. The other part is, because it's a public pool, and you've got all the insurance you have to worry about, you're required to have so many lifeguards on duty, and they can't work, because you have to understand, with a lifeguard, you don't come on and work 8 hours. You might come on and work a 2-hour shift because of the sun and the fatigue. They're afraid you'll get careless. Then they have to rotate somebody else in there. Then you go in and work the desk. And then they rotate back. I mean, you can't just have 2 people out there. You gotta have 4 to 6 lifeguards all the time. And if they're getting $800 every 2 weeks, that's why it loses money. And we can't not pay them that amount. We didn't set the salary. It's set by the personnel board because it's considered skilled labor. And we have to pay them that rate. And that's part of the issue with the cost of the pool. That's out of our control. The other problem is the pool was built in 1957, and as far as I've lived here my whole life, I don't ever remember them updating that pool except what they had to by law as far as making it handicap accessible. I've seen old pools built in the late 50s, early 60s, don't even have steel rebar in the sides. I mean, that's an issue there, is the safety of the pool itself. And we can't afford a $45,000 and $50,000 loss. Now, you bring up the houses at $35,000. You talk about the children, protecting our children. You want them in these abandoned homes, falling through a floor, or a ceiling caving in on them? I mean, that's about the children too. Or you're setting up abandoned houses for drug dealers to use and get your young children hooked on drugs. I mean, that $35,000 is not just to make a neighborhood look better, it's for safety issues and to keep vagrants and drug dealers out of it too. I don't want to see a child fall through the floor of an abandoned, rotten old house. I mean, one child, if it happened to one child, that's one child too many. So that $35,000 isn't a waste if you're protecting your neighborhoods and your children in those neighborhoods.
You know, and I agree with you on some of that, Susan, but what I was saying is not that I didn't want to look for abandoned house pulling down. It's the price that we could have went and look back again, took it back, revisit it. Now, as far as if you don't give these children something to do during the summertime, you're gonna have problems in it. And Leeds is a city that will continue to grow. Our children are not raised the same way we were raised when we were born. And we got workers and everything else. They're not getting money. And they're getting in more trouble than you can ever think of. like an older man told me about the swimming pool, I kind of looked at it that way myself. When they were coming up, they were saying the same thing, they couldn't afford to open the swimming pool because the cost was so high during that time. Times have passed, it continued, the price continued to rise, but we got to take care of our children as well. We don't have no programs in this city for our children during the summertime, keep them out of trouble. And if the library is a great thing, but when kids get out of school, they're out, and they're busy, and they want to do something. And I think if you had some kind of recreation for them to be something good. Everyone is not gonna play organized sports.
Right. No, no.
They're not gonna do that. So, what do we have to offer?
Well, we have pretty much the same stuff every other city has. Most other cities don't have a pool.
And, you know, that bothers me, because we don't have anything to offer our children, no.
Well,
The cost of the swimming pool was actual numbers and facts. That was no blown out of proportion number. That was actual attendance, actual revenue, actual expenditures. And we were told last year that the drain could not be patched again.
it had something in the wall that it had a big crack in it. We needed to try to redo the whole thing. Pumps are different, I mean, it uses a different kind of chlorination method and everything. Getting to where we can't even find anybody to work on it. And, you know, we didn't just lightly go up there and close it down. I mean, we had issues with it. It took us a month and a half to try to get it open when we opened it.
And that's because that was our fault.
We had to work on it a month and a half.
I know, but we should have started working on it much earlier. We got it open. We didn't open until almost down to 4th of July.
I mean, do you want us to consider opening it, or you want us to take a vote on it, or what you want to
Well,
do on it?
you know what? We can take a vote on, open it, and if y'all vote it down, I'll live with it. You don't have to live with it, I can't. But I think, you know, we need to really consider something. What do you have to replace it with now?
No, we don't.
We can call anything we want to dangerous, and that'd be an excuse. I think this is what this is, an excuse.
There's a reason that no cities have them, Marty.
I don't care. Look, every city don't have what we have, and we don't have what every other city has. You know, I mean, Homewood has a pool just about as old as the one that's out there. And they just keep it up. Every year, it has to do the patchwork and everything.
Homewood has a wife that charges a lot of money to the loan, $100 a month or more. And they can afford to keep it up. I just, you know, the labor costs and personnel board costs are astronomical. It's one of the only things we carry liability on, you know, major liability. If you go down the park right now and get hurt because we don't charge money, you can't really sue the city. You go to the pool and get hurt, you can sue the city. That's another reason that people have gotten away from it. I know, you know, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just, I mean, are we taking the pool and the legal fees together, or are we gonna?
And that's what I'm trying to say now, these legal fees that we have, you know, Mayor, I really just cannot go up and talk to Kevin, about these fees and everything, but I like to have an itemized list of what we've been spending so much money on legal fees.
We, just gave one council person the legal fees.
I don't know what that council person had, I just asked for mine.
You need to get one, we can get you one.
I need one.
But I can go over what's been going on with it.
Well, if you wanna go over that, that's fine, I still like to have that.
Sure. I mean, if I can go over what, you know, while we have, the legal fees we have, and, if you're gonna yield back to me. All right. what's the amount you got on legal fees that you've been told?
About $840,000, plus another $250 from somewhere else.
Alright. Alright. When I turn,
Make me feel good.
do what?
Make me feel
I
good.
will. When our attorneys took over, Grand River was a $54 million revenue bond. They worked for 14 months. After 14 months, Grand River was a $28 million loan with no downside like a revenue bond. Grand River went out of business. We got the infrastructure in place. We just move on. You know, I mean, we're right on the hook for it, like Birmingham, like Jefferson County Sewer's on the hook for the sewer. That was a saving of $26 million on that alone. $54 million down to $28 million, which is $26 million we saved on that bond, and it's not a revenue bond anymore. It freed up our borrowing power. They renegotiated the co-op. The co-op was originally all I-20 commercial corridor properties for 99 years. At one time, Moody and St. Clair County estimated that they would take a present value for a payoff of $19 million. Alright, I was there when they said that. Afterwards, when our attorneys came on board, the co-op dropped down to 3 specific pieces of property. The payoff from going from 99 years to an estimated possible 7 to 20 years at a total of $6 million, $3 million apiece. Okay, that's a reduction of $13 million right there. Those two things alone, what's that, $39 million. All right, they saved us right there. All we owe today is $4 million, about. I'm not gonna get specific dollars, but about $4 million, give or take a little bit.
On the co-op deal.
On the co-op deal. All right, you know, the prior attorneys that did the Bass Pro and the school bonds got from the city of Leeds, around, let's see, I have to look at my figures, I wrote them down today. Let's see, I think it's 900,000, it might be a little less than that. Alright, one of them on the Bass Pro loan got $180,000, Walter Stewart Kendrick. Mr. Weddington got $250,000, Barnes Tucker Barnes got $165,000. On the Bass Pro, that's $600,000. On the PIVA bond, it was around close to $300,000. Alright, that doesn't include general monies for doing day-to-day business, which we estimate, because the records are so bad that we can't find everything, to be around $300,000. So between those things together, that's almost $1.15 million, and that's in less than 2 years. The amounts you got on these attorneys are for 28 months. All right. Our attorneys have had to deal with a co-op problem, Bass Pro problem, PIVA problems, which had a $800,000 shortfall, and those things were supposed to be dealt with in that $1.22 million, or give or take a little bit. That's just an estimate of our prior legal fees. All right, our attorneys got less than $100,000 total for the Bass Pro loan closing. All attorneys involved in the Bass Pro deal got $2.5 million, but that's not the city's attorneys, that's everybody, okay? That's, you know, some of the other attorneys that were involved. You know, we received a major EPA letter the first week on the job that had to be dealt with, and when you deal with the feds, it doesn't go away in one day. We got out of that problem with no fines whatsoever, and we were looking at a pretty major fine about that, because we hadn't been in stormwater for 2 years, hadn't been doing anything. They had to firefighters had to come up with a comprehensive plan for that, and they did amazing work to get us out, no fine from the feds.
What was that cost?
I can't remember exactly. You know what that cost was on that?
Swim a deal.
What's one to do?
I do not know. I mean, it was comprehensive to respond.
I can get you that figure if I can, because that's in the past.
Well,
You know, current, I got some more. Every time we fire or lay off or don't promote someone that demands that we promote them, and it doesn't matter if they're white, black, Hispanic, no matter if they're male or female, they go out and file an EEOC suit against us and a personnel board grievance. Alright, those have to be tried or dealt with. In the past, the city of Leeds was well known for settling or doing whatever someone demanded. That costs the city a lot more in the long run. We're in the personnel board calls the settlement deals and suits. We don't have our own sewer system because of the lawsuit and the settlement. And hundreds of $1,000s were paid off on that sewer deal too. We paid a lot of money over the years for those things. What are the cost of doing, cutting down on frivolous suits or losing things like that? Those are priceless. Just think if we weren't in the personnel board. We could have stayed out of that years ago probably. Leeds is one of the only cities that we're gonna let out. We're in it now, and that's a problem for us. Our attorneys have spent 4 days on one suit. I can't discuss exactly what it is on a personnel board matter. 4 days down there. They hadn't lost any lawsuits so far. They settled only one suit due to a prior court issue for $1,500, and that was negotiated down from almost $4,000. When it's $3,800.
Maybe it's asking for more than 5.
Okay, more than 5. So far, they fixed business license problems, zoning problems, wrote a total new employee manual. They conducted drug training, discrimination training, and harassment training, something the city never had before as far as I know. They've rewritten or fixed about 50 new ordinances, 50 major pieces of legislation in 2 years. Those include things like vicious dogs, noise, bingo, those kind of things, just on and on and on. One of the things that makes the prices seem higher is all of our attorneys do is charge by the hour and the job, and they don't hide their fees in bond closings and such. So everything they've charged is out there in the open by,
that's the only thing I'm asking. How much they charge you for all these things that are done?
What depends on the attorney we use and what
That's
the,
out of my list of those charges. That's the only thing I ask. So far, you want to give me one that the last attorney did, that was $100,000, the last pro. But I just want an itemized list.
That is an itemized list.
what we paid out.
Okay.
That's-
Maybe y'all don't understand what itemized list is.
Well, we can't,
That's a list, oh, yes, you can.
wait a minute, we cannot due to pending litigation, I said if it's past litigation, it's closed out.
Okay.
That's public record. Attorney-client privilege on pending litigation or litigation that's taking place right now can't be disclosed like that.
But you can disclose the cost, how much that is costing us.
I mean, that's what we are giving you. But you're talking about
Yeah.
each specific thing,
Yeah.
no, we can't. Because just like before, we went into executive session back here, and we talked, and we're all on pending litigation, and one of the council people came out of that litigation, and we're all under the same attorney-client privilege, and he goes and shares every single thing we said with that person. And we're all supposed to be under the same attorney-client privilege, because we have pending litigation, and that can hurt us in those litigations. And so, at this time, those are things, they can sit down and talk to you about it, but we can't furnish exactly what we're doing, exactly what we're paying on each piece of litigation.
So we just got an open checkbook that we can.
No, I'm sitting here telling you what we're paying.
You're telling me what you're paying, you're not telling me what the cost of it
Can you explain
is. It's
that?
not the same thing.
I'm not sure I understand.
He wants us
What
to
the
give him
hourly
every
rate is.
single piece
Total
of,
balance of everything that's been going on.
broken down by each single piece of legislation.
By each piece of legislation.
Each thing that we're doing, each lawsuit, each,
I mean, I thought the way, I'm not sure how Kevin accounts for it, but I thought he accounted for it that way in different budgeted line items per matter. But I can sit down and review those things with you
Right.
to, go over, what the status is of those things. And I'll be glad to do
But
that.
I have to get the approval from the mayor, otherwise you let me do it.
No,
I just, you can go
no,
talk
I'll
to
be
her
glad
about
to
it.
sit down with you anytime and go over that.
But you understand, because of pending litigation, things about strategy, what you're paying for, experts, things like that, those things can be in there, and that's why it's attorney-client on those things.
And Mayor, I probably wouldn't have a problem with this here, but it's just like you saying, it's just like the swimming pool's not open. How can we save money to get those swimming pools open? And we look at one thing costs us too much, and then another thing is not enough. We could just open the checkbook and say, hey, let's go out there, we gotta take care of this. And I wanna see our children and our neighborhoods taken care of.
I understand, but
Don't put a price on it.
But
That's
one
what
thing
we're
is different
doing.
from another.
It's no different.
When somebody sues you,
I mean, what's it worth to you, Judge, to make sure the school system's solvent, make sure this city's not bankrupt to go forward? Right now, we're having problems with Regions Bank and Bass Pro. What's it worth to work that out and not have the city be put in severe financial straits because something we had nothing to do with? I mean, what's it worth to fund the $800,000 shortfall in the school bonds? What's it worth to make sure this city goes forward forever for the people of this city?
Explain that $800 shortfall.
$800,000.
$800.
The school bonds were sold with around an $800,000 shortfall. They were sold at the time with the 1 cent sales tax, and there's a lot of complications on how that, but they get over 1 cent of the sales tax. That's not Bass Pro. There's all these stipulations, but then they get all the occupational tax. When you add all that up, the average payoff on those school bonds is almost $3 million a year. Okay, if you average it out. At the time those were sold, the city of Leeds was only generating $2.2 million in those two areas. So that's an $800,000 shortage that had to be fixed before the schools could be solved, because the city wasn't on the hook for the $800,000, the school board was. So what's that worth to us, And, we all, just like the road nowhere, we got $750,000 road, off a prior contract with some people for, some consideration they had for moving rocks and giving us an easement, but it was on a private piece of property that we were improving. We had to get a lawyer to come in, and we had to set out, we had to put in an agreement that the city could build a road for some public purpose, because we're already tied into the contract, because we were building roads up there on private property for people. All of us would probably be in striped suits. So we had to get,
Not me.
did you vote to put a private, road on a private piece of property?
Part of the deal that everyone come up with, but not me. I'll be the best fugitive in the. I'm not going to jail for anything.
But
that's wrong.
But when we took over, there was a $750,000 road that was voted on 5 days before we took over. That road was improving private property, which is not,
It's not all private, now some of it is up there.
that was 4 acres at the end, and that was one way we were able to get out of it. But the majority of the land, and the land, most of the improvements were on the private property. We had to sit down and renegotiate that whole deal, where they agreed that some public purpose would be put on that land to protect us in the prior council because of the way that was done. That cost money. I mean, these are things we didn't ask for. We just, we inherited.
Only thing I'm asking, that we do something for our children, because right now, we don't have no kind of program to be part of during the summertime. And our kids, they used to it, and they want to do it. And yes, when I see them and they asking Mr. Washington, you gonna get the pool fixed for us? Yes, I am. I'm gonna try. But
two different things myself. I mean, you got, we got two environmental issues right now that I'm not really prepared to discuss tonight, but they've been dredged up from somewhere from 30 years ago that Alabama Department of Environmental Management's coming in here for. The same exact time our attorneys are trying to get the interstate lead off of us, and they've almost got that done. And now we got two more things that came up that we have to deal with. Those things are stuff we set out to, have to have attorneys for. Those are all sins of the past.
Well, I don't know
Every one of them.
about them.
Well, I know, but, they come to our zoning meetings, variance meetings, city council meetings. I think these attorneys are the best deal the city's ever had. I think without them, we wouldn't be making it. I mean, they've saved us a minimum of $40 million. A minimum of $40 million. And, just like when we borrowed the money for the drains, the roads, and the parks, there was immediately an issue with the bank trying to get out of giving us a 4% loan. They had to go negotiate that thing over. It took a month to get that done. And, you were here, we all went through all that. These attorneys are competent, they're respected. And, and I think they made Leeds be competent and respected. People, nobody comes out here demanding stuff out of us anymore, without some kind of good, valid reason. They don't come out here anymore and say, I'm gonna sue you, I fell down in some alley, we're suing you, and let's just pay them off. I mean, we haven't had to pay any suits. That kind of stuff's priceless, to stop frivolous stuff like that. And, you're gonna pay one way or the other, and, for the long term, that kind of stuff sets the tone for the kind of city you have. Not just an easy mark for people to pay. And, I think that, we look into the pool, that's fine, we can think about it, and, at all, or we can vote on it tonight. But as far as attorneys, I think we ought to have a vote of confidence tonight, one way or the other on, a vote of affirmation, to say that we agree with how the job they're doing, or we don't. And, I don't think the city would have made it without them, I'm serious. And all these fees are gonna go down as soon as we get all these problems worked out,
Problems that we inherited.
most of them, yeah. I mean, you got, so, when they get all that stuff ironed out, then the fees should drop way down. But right now, for this last 2.5 years, it's been a lot of stuff. I'd say probably 75% of the stuff was thrust on us, and 25% of stuff's ordinances we took on, that we did, things like that. And, they may cost a little bit of money. That's nothing to sneeze at, I understand. But they've been worth every penny of it. Every penny.
Can we take care of G before we go to A?
You wanna talk about G before we do anything?
So I'm take it off.
And we put it on next time if we need to. Okay, but you wanna look in the pool, or you wanna vote in the pool?
I'd rather look into it.
Give it a couple weeks and come back. All right. Also, some of our attorney's fees, were not just these attorneys, that you see. Before when we wound up from the prior administration, we had almost $60,000 from Walter Stewart and Kendrick to wind up some stuff. We had to have Hand Aerodol here a couple things for us, that was ours, that was during this term. Up until recently, the CDA, fees went on ours. Those were, went against the city fees because it comes in through us, passes through us, and goes to CDA, and that was close to $50,000 there for that. So in 28 months, we spent a pretty good bit of money, but I think it's been money well spent.
With public defenders, that we have a public defender and a prosecutor that we have.
That doesn't go against these attorneys. But Emily, you got anything to say?
Well, I feel like I should address your concerns, in a couple of ways. One, the firm direction that the city's trying to move in. And we try to do that in the most cost-efficient manner that we can, including giving you a reduced hourly rate from our normal hourly rates. And I think we put in some processes. You were saddled with a lot of inherited legal items that weren't your fault, but had to be dealt with. But I think we put in some good processes with Kevin. You really were operating without any, they relied on us completely when we started. And I think we put in good processes where you'll see now Kevin's drafting a lot of the things that are, you're passing. And that's helping. That's gonna reduce your fees. We've put in checklists for zoning and demolition and, tried to make everything else as streamlined as we can, so that even if it's a little bit more money up front, it will save you money in the long run so your staff can operate. And I just will tell you, we try to do it as efficiently as we can. And we'll meet with you, Mr. Washington, anytime to talk to you about that litigation, any litigation, and how the expenses work.
And coming from a financial background, I've never had an attorney or a group of attorneys call and ask to meet with us so that we can come up with ways to cut our costs. And this firm asked for our finance committee to come before them and see if there weren't ways that we could not call on them for certain things that would cut our costs. I've never had anybody do that before. And I would like to make the recommendation that we give a vote of confidence to Jones Walker. They changed their name and midstream were bought out by another company, but to Jones Walker Law Firm for really, it's very hard to even put into words, that the most aggressive way to help a city progress financially that I could believe could happen. And I make that as a motion.
I'll second that, and I also want to, I don't know if you mentioned how much time they put in helping us bring in-house our business license and our tax collection and the process for doing that, and that is saving us a lot of money because, and I know y'all hear us talking about refunds or licenses that we have to give back money on. It's because the last group, it was outsourced, was doing our licensing and our tax collection. They were giving license to people in Monroe or Mobile for Leeds, and they were paying Leeds money, and they weren't even in Leeds. And we've had so many errors, and our attorneys have worked so hard getting those ordinances and resolutions written so that we can do this ourselves, and we're already saving money. And, they've just saved us a lot.
And don't forget that, these are, I would say these are probably, if they're not the best, I don't know who is, but I can't make that argument, but I know that they are, every time we go to any kind of negotiation with anybody, around town, Boss Bingham, Bradley A. Rand, anybody on bonds, they're very well respected, and I think they're probably the best bond attorneys, and, don't forget, we inherited $91 million in debt, bond debt. And that's why we set out to get these attorneys to help us with that. And right now, the city has more contracts, bond problems, debt problems, and complex deals than this city has seen in its entire history. And I can guarantee you that. And also, that's all I've got to say about it. But we got a motion in a second. Mr. Barty, you got anything to say? Mr. Washington, anything else? All right, and Emily gives you your number. Y'all say I'll talk about it. All right. So you call for a vote of confidence or vote of affirmation?
I did.
All right.
Now second it.
We'll start from the left. Ms. Arden?
Yes.
Ms. Cardwell?
Yes.
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 Mr. Barty?
No.
Okay. All right, anything else from the council? All entertain from the audience, step up and give us your name and address, and try to limit it to 2 minutes, please.
Michael Perry, I live in 6713 Southern Trace Drive in the Southern Trace community. Kind of piggybacking off Councilman Washington's discussion about the pool. I know y'all closed the pool last year. And Southern Trace is one of the very few communities in the city of Leeds that has a pool for the community, for paying members of the HOA. Those fees are $550 per year. Those fees are gonna go up by an increase of estimated $12,000 because the community pool at Southern Trace is now the community pool for Leeds. We saw an increase of about 45 to 50% participants in the pool when the pool was closed last year. And in order to keep those non-paying residents out, it's gonna cost us an additional $12,000. So, I know it saved the city $50,000. If you wanna pay for us a pool monitor for $12,000 and save $38,000, we'd appreciate it. But someone's gonna have to pay for that. And right now, it's the citizens of Southern Trace. So, think about that when you think about opening the pool.
How's your verification system? You said, even before we closed the pool, how did you verify who were residents and who weren't?
We had a lady there that was on site that would actually do our water monitoring for us, because health department regulations, you have to monitor your pool. And she took a head count. She's done it the past 2 years.
But you don't verify their residence or anything? Allow them
Do they sign in?
No, they don't sign it at this time. That's what we have to put in place. And we know they're non-residents because Moody High School, Leeds High School, Leeds Middle School, they all come in to our community and use the pool and tell our residents that they don't live there. Woodruff Farms.
My son lives in Avalon, they have a pool with a gate around it, you have to swipe your card, you have to swipe a card to go in, you have to be a resident.
You know how much that costs to put in? My brother's on the board, I know.
It was put there with the community, so I
That
don't
was
know.
not, the pool was put in, but the gates and everything else came afterwards to a cost of almost $9,000.
Well, I just
And
know
they
they pay
still-
$330 a year for their.
And they still have to hire a pool monitor to keep people out. So they still have to pay that extra $9,000 per year for a pool monitor. So for us to have a small gate, we've got, because in order to do what you're talking, it's $5,000 just for the monitoring system, another $2,000 to $3,000 for the fence. And now you gotta pay a pool monitor on top of that. Who's gonna pay? We're already paying $550 a month.
But you can't blame that on us, because Genesis Pool, you can go there and swim, and you can pay, and if you have to pay up here, you're talking about people swimming for free. So they'd rather go there and swim for free than pay to go to another pool. That's the difference.
We saw an increase when the Leeds City Council Meeting. I'm telling you, that's what our residents saw. And, I mean, if you wanna come talk to them, more than happy to come talk to the residents in Southern Trace, because they're not happy about it. That's coming out of their pocket. Not because you save $50,000, but my taxes didn't go down from that savings. So I'm still paying the taxes and having to pay a higher HOA fee for a pool in our subdivision that I didn't even use yet.
But you realize there is another public pool at,
I do understand that. I really and truly understand that. But we can correlate it back to the pool closing last year. We saw an increase.
Well, y'all say it increased by more than 30 kids a day?
Yeah.
You did? Well, that's all that came.
We would see probably like 10 kids more per day. You'd have whole cliques from the high schools and the middle schools come over to the subdivision.
From Moody and places like that, right?
Yeah, Leeds, Moody. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Next.
My name is Willard Perry, and I live at 1244 Lakeland Avenue, Northeast Leeds, Alabama. There's nothing for the kids in the city of Leeds to do. That's why there's so much trouble goes on in Leeds, because there is nothing for the kids to do. They have to go to Birmingham or Centerpoint to go to a movie, to go bowling, anything. They have to go out of the city of Leeds. There's nothing for the kids to do. And I drove by the pool when it's open, and it'd be slammed right out here. Many days the pool would be slammed full. But my main concern is, you're talking about paving over here at, where is it, King's Forest? my road was on with a group of the other roads that was passed to be fixed about the sewer drains falling with the others. There's nothing been done on my street.
We haven't done
We're not
anything.
finished.
There's potholes that big enough to bury a car in. And the city and trash, they'll come up to the neighbor's house and pick stuff up, same thing, and leave 2 or 3 houses on the same street, truck not even full. Or they'll come to the bottom of the hill and turn and leave. I trimmed some limbs up, and they laid out there almost a month. I had to call to get them to come pick them up. And the truck comes to the bottom hill twice a week.
Was it the limb truck or the garbage, the trash truck?
Twice a week, the truck with a boom come to the bottom of our hill and turn around.
'Cause I was just asking because, you know, there's a trash truck.
There's
It does-
one with a boom on it. Regardless if it's trash, they use the same truck to pick up limbs as they do trash. That's what I was told.
They don't mix it though.
Well, I know that.
Okay.
But for a month, for the stuff to lay there, and I was told by some people that from the street that the sewage manhole is not the city of Leeds' responsibility, that it's Jefferson County's responsibility. And now y'all gonna spend all this money to fix the manholes over at King's Forest. And I was told that it was the Jefferson County, which now Jefferson County's sewer taxes are going up another 26% in July.
Well, the problem with that is, if Jefferson County won't fix it, it's still a safety issue, right?
Right.
And if Jefferson County won't even pave roads, it's really left to us to fix it, and that's what we're trying to do. I mean, I've been down the county like 6 times and said, y'all need to fix these, where these sewers have dropped. And I get the same thing every time.
Well, who do I send the bill for when I have to have my truck front end?
And I'll get to send it to them, but we're trying as best we can to fix it.
But the street, the limb and trash stuff needs to be addressed because, I mean, I can start taking pictures if you want me to when they turn around down there, and my camera shows the dates and times if that's what you want me to do.
Well, we've looked at doing some different things on limb and trash because it seems to be a problem. We've looked at outsourcing it. We've talked, with the price go up. We looked at
It was
doing.
outsourced once before in the service. Yes, it was. When I first moved over there, it was outsourced. When I first moved over there where I'm living at 12 years ago, it was outsourced to whatever Viola was before they took over.
12 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
It was
I
outsourced.
just mentioned
And
like,
I wound up hauling the limbs off myself.
right,
And paying a dump fee over the dump.
but I mean, I'm just saying, seems to be a problem, you know, people that say they have to wait so long, and we don't know, we're looking into maybe outsourcing it, we could do away with it, or something, because, you know, we're doing the best we can for $3.
But the city of Leeds needs to get something for our kids to, in the city. I agree with Mr. Washington.
Your subdivision is still on the paving list.
It is.
Sir?
Your subdivision is still on the paving list.
Okay, because they paved it 10 years ago when it was like 28, 32 degrees outside. And I used to work for the state highway department.
Gotta be over
Don't
40, for at
pave- Don't
least,
pave when it's that hot.
right, gotta be over 40 degrees for what, a week or two. All right, next.
My name is Ann Holcomb, I live at 6552 Priscilla Street. I wanted to address your swimming pool issue. I worked for Birmingham City Pools for 2 years. They run the red every year. It is a state mandated, they have a grant, and the pools have to be open because of a grant. I worked there, we had an average 30 kids a day. We paid 8 lifeguards and 2 laborers to monitor the bathrooms. I was a laborer, but I was also a certified lifeguard. Every year, if you go look at Birmingham City's pools, they were in the red every year because of labor and not enough children attending those pools. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I worked there for 2 years. I I saw what went on in those pools. That's why I don't work there anymore. But they went in the red every year. You can go pull the books, it's published in the newspaper. They run the red every year with those pools open. And they're still open because of a state, it's not a grant, it's something that's authorized that the pools have to be open. It's required for Birmingham City, that the pools be open for the youth, but it's required by them. That's the only reason they still have them open.
If you wanna go that far, we could look at the pools and look at the gyms and everything else that Birmingham has them open free for all the people out there. So they're still in the red. And here in Leeds, they paying occupational tax here in Leeds, and we still have to charge our kids to come in the city center. In Birmingham, you don't charge to come in the city center. You can go to any one, Hawkins Park or parks, and it's free.
The parks are free. My daughter, I take my daughter up here to the
But
Leeds
you
Park.
walk in this gym, you're gonna pay.
If I go to Homewood, I've got to pay. If
go
you
to
want
Birmingham,
something
you don't have to
established, you have to pay. I'm a school teacher in another system. When the community uses our gym, they have to pay because somebody has to pay for the power bill. Somebody has to clean it. We have to pay for a city worker to be on our payroll, to come to our school. They use our gym facilities, and they have to pay to use. Now, the community paid for our school, but however, they still pay an employee $15 an hour to come in after everybody practices to clean up our gym, to maintain it, and that's another fee paid. And then they have to pay those fees. So, I understand, I have a daughter who's gonna live in this community, grow up in this community, but as a parent, I have to take responsibility for my child and entertain my child and put my child in activities for these kids in this community. It's not up to let them walk up to the swimming pool and go swim unsupervised. I worked at Birmingham City and saw these kids walk up to the pool unsupervised. We're there from the time it was open to the time it closed, and I was the supervisor of that child. And the child didn't eat for 8 hours. So how is that going to be a burden on her, Mr. Kyle's niece, to have to monitor or babysit a child for 8 hours and them not be fed at a pool? I've seen both sides of the story.
Well, it's two sides to it. You're gonna get paid one, or not.
Well, I'd rather the city not go into
And
red.
you know, and if you're working for Birmingham City, most likely those residents are paying you for working. You getting their tax dollars for working.
That's why I don't work there, because of the relationship that's going on there.
And I can understand.
We appreciate it. Just when, Nick.
I think it would be grand if we had a pool, we could afford it, we had plenty of money, and we could offer all this stuff free, but we can't. And, I don't remember my parents asking the city to entertain me in the summertime. We got out, we played in the yard, we played ball, we rode our bikes. Why is it the city's responsibility to entertain people's children for them? I mean, it would be nice activity to have, but I don't think that's a municipality's responsibility to entertain people's children in the summertime.
Why is this the city